All right, today's Tegu video is going to be brought to you by me today. Let's start out what this video is going to have to be dealing with, or the subject is I'm going to feed Sassy some earthworms today that I got at PetSmart. I've touched on these. I have over 200 plus videos, and I just to document, just to share. If people want to go back, I have all kinds of interesting information: diet, substrate, lights, USB, building a cage, building hide boxes, anything and everything to do with tegus. I've done it in a video. So if you want to go back and check out some very interesting videos, go do that. But I bought some worms, night crawlers is what they call them, from Canada. I think that's what they say on the label. I've touched last couple of videos about the importance of the diet with Sassy, my red Argentine Tegu, to help her with her shedding. She loves insects. She eats them. She'll just eat 40 of them, just one after the other, and get sick on them almost. But I don't do that. I try to regulate that and space out, so I'm not going to the reptile store or the pet store every other day to buy a bunch of insects. But she's in here sleeping. And I just want to, this is a big cage that I built, about $500, $550. It was 2 years ago. I bought all the lumber, I put it together. It has opening tops, it's got lights, it's got substrate, it's got limbs, it's got rocks in here. And I'll move the camera over here because I'm gonna have to dig her out, because I built a burrow for her, an underground burrow with a compartment in there. And I have two or three videos on that too. They like to burrow under the ground, not just dig their own little hole and be suffocated by dirt on top of them. I mean, they will do that if they have to, and you don't provide them the right type of environment that they need to. And a lot of times, your little tegus that you get, and you're like, I don't ever see him, he's always hiding. Well, you probably got your cage set up wrong. You probably got your heat too high. And I'll go into that too, hopefully, if I remember. Your heat too high, humidity's off. You're in a glass aquarium and he's freaking out, from seeing other things walking around. There's all kinds of things. So if your tegu's not calming down, then it's a problem that you're likely doing. I'm not saying 101% your fault, but it's highly likely. So you've got to observe your reptile. That's what I do. I do with all my reptiles, my 4 boas that are over here, and my 2 tegus, my dog, and this freaking new cat, this crazy cat, this kitten that I took out of the environment, because it was little bitty, and it was probably going to get run over or get killed by a dog, or who knows. So I had to take in this cat. So now I have all these animals. And I'm just having to deal with it. No one wants this cat, and I can't find a home for it. So, I'm not going to just put it back outside and say, have a good luck. You've grown up a little bit. I've fed you plenty, and best of luck to you. Get out. Can't do that. I got to keep the cat, and it's a part of the family now, most likely. But let's get Sassy out. Sassy is in a burrow. Like I mentioned, they get down there and they get cool. And from all my observation, 3.5, almost 4 years of observation, my tegus like it colder, on the cooler side rather than the warmer side. And like I said, we'll get into that. But let's move the camera over here, and we'll put you in there, and I'm going to have to dig her out. All right, there is one hide box that I custom built that 1 or 2 tegus go in there. Mac and Sassy originally and mostly like to be with each other, and that's just the way they are. They are like a mated couple, even though I haven't mated them. They grew up together. They love each other. Except for during mating season, when they can't stay together because Mac will tear up Sassy, trying to get interested in her and mate with her. Well, I do not want babies, at least not right now. Probably never in the future. But you got a male and a female, and they're likely to probably want to mate. That's just part of it. So there's another hide box that I custom built, and Mac is actually getting too big to fit in that 4-inch portal right there. He's in there sleeping right now just because it's easier to get them out of the room and get them into the tub and to feed them and check them out and love on them and take them for a walk outside when they're in their hide boxes. Because when they come in here, inside this large 4x8 cage, and it seems a lot bigger than that. It takes up this whole room. But Sassy and Mac will go, it might be difficult to see, but there's a little slit right there. So they go under there and they're over here and they sleep under there and they love it. It's cooler. Usually when I get them out, they are cold to the touch. And hey, Brian, why is your reptiles cold to the touch? That's not good. Well, the Tegus prefer and choose to be on that exact cool side and cool in the house. They'll go to specific spots in the house or in this room to get away from heat and to cool down. And when I pick them up, they're 75 degrees, 75, 78 degrees, which is cool to my 90-ish degree plus, fingers that touch them. That's what they choose. I have heaters on all their hides, and I'll turn them on sometimes when I know it's going to get cooler, and then I wake up and they're sleeping in a different spot with no heater. They're obviously telling me, hey, Mr. Thornhill, Brian, we don't like it warm. Quit trying to heat us. But I do provide them warm spots that if they want to go. But most of the time, they go away from the heat and they want to get down into the 70-degree temps. I have a little heater pad under that hide box too as well that I have on low, and it's just on low. It's probably 84 degrees, 83 degrees, and they do not want to stay in there. They'll be in there for a little bit, and then they get up on their own and they go somewhere else in the room and try to get away from the heat. So consensus that through observation that I've noticed is that the Tegus prefer it cooler. It's not my will, it is their will. And so it's important to do their will and not my will upon them. That's where they're most happy and most likely to do very well. And my Tegus are doing exceptionally well. Beautiful animals, healthy, eating, great color, great interest in their eyes, activity with their eyes, and but they are sleeping a lot. Now that they're 3.5 years old, they prefer to sleep and have their food and water handed to them. Hey, I do that too. You live with your parents and it gets really, really easy for you to sleep and not work and just enjoy doing what you do and sleeping in late. But here we go. We're going to dig Sassy out now. Oh, this is kind of a pain in the butt. But I move them around constantly. I never, very, very rarely make them stay in one place for a long time. I put them in the house. I let them walk around. I put them in a room. I put them in their hide boxes. I put them in this cage. It is a merry-go-round of shifting the Tegus so that they stay, they don't get bored. They don't feel like they're pinned in a cage. And I can hear her in there. But got to move all this dirt off. And it's very, very interesting because I will have clumps of moss around the cage. And I don't know how they do it, but they go and they collect the clumps of moss and they barricade their entrance. See, look, Sassy's particularly does that. Gets it and blocks off their entrance. And I've put that in videos and told you why they do that, to barricade themselves in there and to make them less, other animals may not see them as well or be able to smell them out as well or hunt them down, because Tegus can be food for other animals, larger animals, and they can become a prey themselves. So they want to, when they're sleeping, rest and not have to be on high alert that someone's trying to eat them. So Gonna give them the moss. Sassy, I don't know how she does it. She doesn't have hands with opposable thumbs. How she picks that up, you know, either with her mouth, I haven't seen that. I do put them on video, or have before, and watch them on video at night, and my snakes, but I haven't done that in a long time. So I gotta shift everything around. So a lot more work doing this than having them in a hide box scattered throughout the house or the room. See, she's in here for 4 or 5 days straight, and I won't see her. She doesn't come out. I have a heat bulb right there where you are in the camera, right there, that'll get 100 degrees. Very, very, very rarely does she come out and sit in the sun or sit in the light to get warm. She likes it in this hide box. Dark and secluded. That's part of banana she didn't eat. Let's pull her out. My sweet Sassy girl. I've had her for 3.5 years. She breathes heavy. Every time I come and touch her and pick her up and play with her, she sits up on her feet and keeps her belly up off the ground. And a lot of people are told that that's when they're unhappy and think they're going to be injured and they're being defensive. But that's just the way Sassy is, and that's why Sassy's name is Sassy, because she does things that you would think, you know, a Tegu is upset or unpleasant, but that's just Sassy. And she's not a biter, and she's never done anything really nasty to me. And so that's just the way she is, and she's a very sweet girl. And she's cool to the touch, and this is the way she prefers to be. And my Argentine black and white Mac Tegu. So let's pick her up, and let's take her out and feed her some juicy, fat night crawlers. So when they're cooler too, they're not as fast to move around. If you have a Tegu that is hard to handle, and sometimes Sassy can be hard to handle, she's got very, very sharp claws. More cat-like rather than my large male that is more dog-like nails. So these are very sharp and will slice you open and scratch you up really bad. But she's a lot more calm when she's cooler. It's not dangerous for them to be cooler. They're Tegus, and they come from South America where it is cooler. And some of them are up more in the hills. Some of them are more in the dirt. Some are more in the tree and the foliage areas. So it gets down in the 40s, 50s, and 60s all the time. And they go underground, and that's where they can regulate their temperature. If it gets down to 40 or 35, 40, 50, underground it'll stay in about the 75 degrees almost all year round. Maybe down into the 60s. But let's get her earthworm. She's such a good girl. Okay, here we go. All right, just to remind you, these earthworms, night crawlers that I'm buying, they are pet store grade insects, and that is good because you're not just taking them out of the nature if you're not going to boil them or cook them, because things typically have parasites and things that can harm your tegus or your snakes or any other lizard. So it's great to buy things from the pet store that are pet grade, and they're raised in captivity. So she's going to see this. Here, Sassy. Come here. Come here. Get that. Don't drop it in the dirt like you just did. And you have to keep them in the refrigerator at like 40 to 50 degrees, 45 degrees, 40 degrees. I don't know why. So they're a little cold and probably a little icky for her to feel. And now she's waking up. Did you drop it or did you eat it? Okay, you did. It looks like you did. Oh, don't get my fingers, please. Usually these are a little bit bigger and fatter. So just the batch that you get, don't get my hands, please. Their teeth are so sharp. Come here. Come on, get it, Sassy. I know those gotta be kind of gross to eat. Well, let me get her some bananas too. I just got some fresh bananas. It's hanging out of your mouth. All right, here. People are gonna say, why do you feed them off a fork? Forks, I have plastic forks all around the house. And it's very, very easy. Any given second of the day to just pull a plastic fork up and feed them from a fork. They like it. They do it well. It's safe. Not gonna poke them. And it saves my fingers because they have very sharp teeth up towards the front in the corners. And when they lunge out to just grasp onto their food, they get the tips of my fingers and cut my fingers up. And I don't like that. So this, every few days, I've done this, hand-fed them from babies. From when the day I got them from the pet store in Florida, Snakes at Sunset, I have fed them by hand and loved them every single day. And so you develop a relationship with your animals and they learn to trust you, that I'm feeding them and taking care of them and providing for them. And they treat me, they respect me back, and most of the time they're very pleasant with me and usually easy to handle. Sassy just doesn't like to be picked up. Sassy will roll. She flips around to get out of my hands. And if you saw my cat video where I introduced him to my cat, Sassy was spinning out of my grasp. And that's not because she's scared of me or she's scared of the cat or she's panicking. It's because she just wants to let me know that she wants to go do her own thing and she wants out of my grasp. And that's her way of getting out of my hands. Well, that is her attempted way. See, she wants to go do her own thing. And when I let go of her, she sits there and looks around and is happy. But when I touch her, she just she wants to do her own thing, and that's just Sassy, and that's okay. Mac is more of a Tegu that you can hold and you can put in your lap and you can stroke and pet. He's not as bothered by being restricted as Sassy is. But that's my video. It's long enough as usual, and I talk way too much, as people tell me. But that's Sassy, my red Argentine Tegu, and this is their whole cage setup. One small portion of their cage setup. Okay. Before I close out, let's just get a look at Mac. It's good to put them on video. He loves what he wants to do too. He loves to rest and sleep and not have heat. I had to turn his little heater off. That keeps us about low 80 degree in here. And after about a day, he's like, hey, I've had too much heat. Even at that low 81 degrees, 80-ish degrees, he wants out and he goes and sleeps in another hide that has no heat. So here he is. He was sound asleep. He is such a good boy. He is really developed into very calm, almost like putty. Which kind of takes the fun out of it because, you know, having a real energetic, you know, fast moving, you know, exciting, you know, playful Tegu is kind of neat in some regards. He just yawned. But when they get bigger, and they don't have to search for their food and their water. They just want to sleep and relax and get plumpy. And you also got to be careful that you don't overfeed them when they're not as active, because they will get overweight and then that'll shorten their lives. And we want to keep them for, you know, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years if possible. And highly likely, I'm hoping that I have them at least, you know, 17, 18 years. But there's Mac. Put the top back on so he can go back to resting. I have so much equipment, I'd have to store equipment, lighting equipment, and Tegu and snake equipment everywhere I can. But as you can see, there's stuff all over this room.